think we're recording. Hi, Sandra. How are you today?
I am great, thank you. How are you?
I'm well, and ready to talk plants. I've been looking forward to our conversation. As we've been building these conversations, we were talking about the various kingdoms that we encounter in part of our shamanic work. We encounter the mineral kingdom, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom. And now a shaman probably would not talk about it that way. A shaman would probably talk about these beings in these kingdoms as allies, as friends, as
Right.
sources of different kinds of power. But for our Western educated minds, this is kind of how we've broken it down. And so today I'm excited because we've planned to talk a little bit about plants. And I can say, as I was thinking about this, this is probably one of the more challenging aspects for the shaman and controversial in terms of our Western thinking, and probably one of the broadest. When you think about how many plants there are in the world and how we engage with the plants, I mean, it boggles the mind. It really does. So I don't know, were those
Absolutely.
anything that you were thinking about some as you contemplated this?
Well, I prepared myself a little bit and I did a shamanic journey. And then I think we have to explain what a shamanic journey is. But I
Right.
just quickly want to read it because my helping spirits, our helping spirits, have always such a broad vision of everything. And I find that my vision is always so small and not that interesting, to be honest. So, what they have to say is that, talking about plant medicine, which is right now so in fashion, especially in the young, people, they all want to have the experience of plant medicine, thinking that maybe it will maybe heal them or give them a really big epiphany in life. And so what they have to say is the plant medicine is already in you from your DNA. I thought that was so incredible. From millions of years ago, when your ancestors used medicines as plants. So I thought that was so brilliant because I hadn't really thought about it. We're always trying to bring something new into our lives to make a difference, and but we have to acknowledge that we our bodies have this DNA and this capacity of connecting to this higher intelligence that we all have, where we don't need to go into a supermarket to shop like in a shopping cart. I
Right,
need
right.
this, I need that. Because it's exhausting. What about just going inside and realizing that if you are part of this universe, if your DNA is so far, back, so ancient, you already have the plant medicine and
Mhm.
connecting with source to even know what to do with your body.
I think that's so beautiful because as I was writing my masses of papers and thinking about today as well, I was reminded of that same thing when I was thinking about fairy seership, and it's another way that people talk about connecting with the natural world. It's and it's so beautiful because when you think about it, everything on this planet is our relation. We are related to it. And if we look far enough back to get this body as it has grown up out of the earth, we go back through reptiles, amphibians, all the way back to single celled animals, single celled plants, so that the plants themselves, our kin, we are related to them. And it is within us so we don't have to look outside ourselves to find
Right.
a lot of this information. We can go within and connect to those parts that grew up out of these various kingdoms. I mean, our bones, our stone, our the mineral and
Yeah.
kingdom, and there are other parts within us that speak to these, just as the helping spirits were telling you. So it is fascinating, and just to make the conversation even bigger, when we talk about plant medicine, it isn't even necessarily the conscious altering plants that are important to
Right.
us. Um, a lot of my looking about yesterday was just looking at those consciousness altering plants. Um, Yet, the plants right out in the backyard are closer to us in kinship than you would imagine. Uh, I love the thing from the macrobiotics.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about particular diets, and they suggest, which is something that others have found through their plant medicine, plant spirit work, is that the plants growing in your area are the strongest plants for you because you share the same water, the same air. You are tightly bound to them as they are to
Right.
you, which brings us to the whole thing with this plant exploration. People living in the North America going to South America to experience certain plant medicines. That is really, and I won't say dangerous, but it inspires a cautionary word because a North American has not grown up in the South American
Absolutely.
milieu, and so they don't share. You don't know. There's not a comprehension that happens between the two
Even in your
entities.
DNA, right?
Exactly
Even in your DNA
right
and
with what you have
your
right, right. So
exactly.
So finding harmony and being able to talk with the plants in your own place.
Right.
Elliot Cowan has done a beautiful book. It's called Plant Medicine. I think it's Plant Medicine or Plant Spirit Medicine. We can correct it in notes to this. Um, the most powerful plants that you can encounter are those within 50 miles of where you live.
That is beautiful. I believe that because also of the spirit of the land where we live, that is where we sleep, that is where we rest, where we eat, where we live, we are surrounded by that spirit of the land that
Exactly.
is growing those particular foods. I totally agree. When I wanted to clarify, I think we have to clarify to people because we don't know who will listen to it. What is a shamanic journey? Because
Oh, okay.
plant medicine is used a lot to journey.
Yeah, right.
So, right? So I know you have a lot to say on that, but I want to read what the helpers were saying when I wrote the book, Crystal Clear Joy. I asked, what is a shamanic journey? And they answered something about the plant medicine, which is interesting. They say a shamanic journey can also be achieved by consuming certain plant medicines, but we do not recommend that this be taken lightly. It would be best to experiment with plant medicine under the constant care and supervision of an indigenous shaman or seer carrying plant medicine experience for millions of years in his or her lineage. It's a little bit
Beautiful.
what you were saying, right? Plant medicine can either be very beneficial or harmful to the body or a soul spirit. The utmost caution is advised. So it is not like we need plant medicine to have the experience of a shamanic journey.
Right,
And I
right.
wanted you to explain that and the reason why you and I use the drum, the rattles, and we're very comfortable with that.
Right. So, about 8,000 thoughts just dumped into my head. It's so stimulating
Right.
because um, I think we'll start with the journey itself. The journey itself is really a change in how we perceive the world. So I am sitting here right now. I'm wide awake. My brain waves are at a certain amplitude and frequency, and this is the waking state. When I use the drum and play it with a monotonous percussion, that particular state of listening to the drum brings us to a point where the amplitude and frequency of the brainwaves changes, it shifts, and what that allows me to do is shift my attention and awareness from this waking world that's the ordinary reality into a different space where I can perceive things in a different way and beyond the veil of this ordinary reality. So this is just called an altered state of consciousness, this shift of brainwaves. Now, we can accomplish this driving down the road. I don't know how many people have had the experience of they're driving down the road and they're going home, and suddenly between the office and home they have no idea what happened. They're in their driveway. They have experienced an altered state of consciousness in which they have been able to make it home safely, because we do have things like our, I think it's called the reticulator activating system, which is able to kind of filter things and allow us to kind of have attention split in some ways so
Mm-hmm.
we can get home. But they've had an altered state. We have an altered state many times. I think people who watch television are in a completely altered state, which makes them very impressionable, which is very dangerous because they don't realize that they're allowing images from somebody else's imagination or from somebody else's perception to go into them and begin to affect them. So I think television is probably one of our most dangerous drugs that we have right now. But anyway, the point is we go into an altered state of consciousness in which we are able to tune our awareness to various different frequencies. I mean, the shaman does it with the drum. There are people who use hemisync, which is a technology of sound, to change frequency, and they go to focus 12, focus 15, focus 21, different states of mind, different levels of awareness, where contact is made with beings outside of our ordinary reality. This
Right.
is not uncommon. We do this naturally, absolutely naturally. Dreaming is an altered state. The reverie is an altered state. We're many times in altered states all day. So it's just
Right.
when we do a drum and we have a journey, the big difference with that is there is an intention. I am
Right.
changing my level of consciousness. I am changing my awareness. My intention is to, it's either to contact a being that you know, a helping spirit. It is to get particular information. There are many reasons you may do that, but it is with a specific intention, and
Yeah.
you know that the duration of this altered state is a limited one. So you're not
Right.
intending to go and like be out there until like whenever. You have control of it, which is the beauty
Right.
of the drum, because the drum is something that you can play for a limited period of time. It gives you the signal to change the frequency, to alter your awareness, but you get a signal to bring the awareness back.
Right.
And in shamanic
And
practice,
also
oh, go ahead.
I would add that it is so important that once you have gone through the veil and changed your consciousness to an altered consciousness, to know where to go and what spirits to have, a relationship, or to listen, or to get advice from, or because, you could explain it better than me, I'm sure, but there's all kinds of spirits out there, and most of them we would not want to have a relationship with. So the drum gives us that safety of going, knowing where we're going, what is the purpose of the journey, as you said, and who to engage with, because a shaman knows who their spirits are
Mm-hmm.
and goes
Right.
back to them. Rarely have I seen a new spirit, that I'm not familiar with.
Right.
And if that happens, I am always protected because I am with my power animal. I am with my helping spirits that I know, who want to introduce me for a reason that they know, for to a new spirit, you know. So
Right.
I think the safety factor is so important, not only to know how to come back. Let's say there was an earthquake in this reality or fire in your house, you know. Isn't it beautiful that you can be in both worlds simultaneously and quickly come back to safety of your own vessel, of your own body?
Right.
So
Right.
there's a lot of reasons why one could learn to do a shamanic journey with the drum. Even if I do understand that there are very many benefits of using plant medicine in the right, you know, environment, with the right training, with enough time to have understood what you're really doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a game.
No, it's not. And I think we have to make another distinction here is plant spirit medicine is the broad category that includes every plant. I can go outside and learn what my wood sorrel has to tell me.
Right.
Now, a wood sorrel is not what sometimes is called plant medicine. When we talk about plant spirit medicine, it's every plant in the plant kingdom. When we talk about sometimes plant medicine, what we're really talking about are the entheogens. The entheogens, if you look at that word, it has the word theo in it, Greek for God. We're talking about the mind altering plants, the
Hmm.
entheogens that bring about a different state of consciousness, and they're typically hallucinogenic. They fall into four basic categories. You have your LSD type, morning glories, ergot, very rare in nature. You have your tryptamine, your DMT. These are the mushrooms with the psilocybin and psilocin. You have beta carbolines. These are the harmines and the harmalines. This is the ayahuasca and the yage, which we've
Hmm.
talked about. And we have the ibogaine, which is another whole
Right.
kind of group. So you've got these four basic categories of the entheogens, which have been used by indigenous people over the years, that people from various Western communities have begun to seek out, because I don't know, in the West, and maybe I'm being a little critical here. Most of the people who use these in indigenous situations have learned over the course of years how to use them, why to use them. There's a beautiful story, Wizard of the Upper Amazon. This talks about a young man who was captured by a group of people who used ayahuasca. And when they had the use of this particular preparation from the Banisteriopsis capi, which is a vine, so it's the vine, sometimes
Hmm.
people calling about the vine, it was because the community had a need. A man had lost his ability to hunt. If he couldn't hunt, he couldn't feed his family. He became a burden on the community. And so they were going to go to this plant to seek help.
Right.
So as part of it, there was a whole preparation, the dieta. For 2 weeks, they had certain things they ate, certain ways they would bathe, certain preparations before they engaged the wisdom and the knowledge that came from ingesting this particular component, this Banisteriopsis, the ayahuasca. One of the comments I read by one of the people who had gone around trying all of this stuff, just because he was an adventurer, and I don't even think he was an ethnobotanist. He said, "This is not for recreational use.
Hmm.
These preparations are not for recreational use." And somehow, I think in the West, we have many times gotten the idea that, okay, I want to be enlightened. I'll do this, I'll drink this, whatever, one or two times, and then I'll have it all figured out. So it's the better, more, bigger, nicer McDonald's, Burger King idea of consciousness. And that's just not the way it works. Not the way it works. It takes time. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have a quick epiphany, but what you do with that epiphany is the great work. If we go to alchemy and talk about that, it is the
Right.
great work, which means it's a day to day plodding along with the life you have, recognizing that what's in the way in your life is the way that you,
Right. That's so
it's a gift.
important.
Every challenge you have is the gift for you to become enlightened. Because as you cope with that, you grow, expand. If you're paying attention, if you fight it, you're never going to get anywhere. No matter how much of this stuff you decide you're going to drink or pop a pill, whatever. It just doesn't work that way. So I'll get
It's
off
not,
my soapbox, but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
fascinating.
I mean, it's fashionable
Right.
also right now. And I think all the fashions, in my opinion, I'm always very unfashionable in everything, even in in wearing clothes, because I don't want to have an altered state of life, where I'm living my life to what the fashion tells you to wear, or what, you know, eh, I, but that's me. I've always been like that a little bit. Trying to find yourself is very important, and knowing yourself. Everybody talks about this, but to be able to with power say, I know who I am,
Mm-hmm.
I know why I'm here, I know what I'm doing. I don't even need to express it.
Right. You
I
just
don't need
are.
to. You just know,
Mm-hmm.
you know and that's so much more powerful than trying to go, blindly through, hearing people say, oh, you should do this. Every time I have followed somebody who has said you should do this, it's been a mistake in my life.
Yeah.
So I learned, now when somebody tells me you should, even that complete phrase gives me the creeps, because I immediately, have the memory of all the things I did because somebody told me you should do this, you should do that.
Right.
And it wasn't my path. So I think the helping spirits always come back to the same thing. It always comes back to the same, your connection to source. Every instant, silence brings you a possibility to engage with the nutrients that you are about to consume. Health is connected to a link with source. It
Always.
always comes back to just connect yourself with who you are, and what are you. And it's not that difficult. It's just like to stop a lot of things instead of doing more things. it
It's a,
you know
absolutely, absolutely. I think one of my early teachers in a seminar series I took was very clear that we have it backwards. It's like we have this idea we have to have something, then we have to do something, and then we'll be something, right? We
oh
have to
yeah.
have and do and be.
Mm,
And so as we look at that progression, it's filled with shoulds, have
yeah.
tos, and oughts.
Oh
All of
yeah.
those are
Dangerous
coming
stuff.
at us from outside ourselves.
Right.
And the correction that was made as part of that series was you start with being. Because once you are being, you're connecting with Source, you're expressing the absolute individuality of the divine spark that you are. And as
Absolutely.
you have that, and then we slip into this, you make spontaneously correct choices about your doing and then the having. So if you concentrate on be, the correct doing and having will follow, versus I have to have this, to do this, to be this. One is coming from outside, the other comes from inside.
Right.
And
We
with
always
that,
try to fit in. I think
right,
culturally, we do a lot of things just to fit in, to be cool, you know.
we all want to
I
have
mean, we're
agreement. We want everybody to
right.
agree with us. Agree with
Yeah.
me. I'm okay,
Especially when
maybe.
you're young. When you're
Absolutely.
young, it's worth. At this age, it's like I don't care. I always tell a friend of mine, the more people don't like me, the more happy I am, because I'm not buying it. I don't need to
Right.
be liked. I don't need to be like review. I'm just me. I am full of faults. I'm just me. I'm trying my best, like everybody else. but I just want to squeeze the juice out of life to know deep inside that I gave it my best shot to be there, connected, to source, that my information, my inspiration comes from inside. If I'm supposed to have a plant, a tea of something, or any medicine that comes in plant form, I don't want somebody to tell me it's good for the liver, it's good for this, it's good for that, blah, blah, blah. I want me to be able to have enough trust in my own self to say, this is good for me. I don't even need a pendulum,
Right.
you know? I,
Your whole body
I,
becomes the pendulum. It becomes the
right.
receptive device that says no, or yeah, that's right. That's right today.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that is also something that my helping spirits told me, because my story, I've gotten from one sickness to another, and being very, like I've had them all, I think, probably. And they said to me one day something that very recently, they said, we keep on giving you all these headaches of arthritis and this and all the way to cancer for you to learn how to self heal.
Mm-hmm.
You're here to learn how to self heal. So if you refuse the learning to go really within and learn how to heal yourself, the universe has to keep on giving you
Right.
more challenges.
That goes
It
right
makes
back to it.
so much sense to me, like, oh my God, it's not like I'm a victim that I've had just about everything. It is so kind of this incredible universe, energy, source, God, whatever you want to call it, to give you this, experience, this opportunity to say, why do I keep on getting sick? Wow, this is because I'm really going to learn. I'm really, really going to learn. I'm going to use this time, this vessel, this body to give it my best shot. And it's like being a warrior, It's not about
It is.
the death, because we're lucky with this work that we do so many, little voyages to the other world, that a lot of times people ask me, are you afraid of death? I say, well, no, I kind of do it voluntarily almost every day for a couple of hours. I'm not really here. It would be so interesting to, if there was a machine that could test what really happens in the brain, or when you journey shamanically. Are you really, you know, maybe dead? I've always been so intrigued with that. Are you really in the other world? And because by my feeling is that we do that every night when we dream, although I'm not a person that remembers dreams very much. But the feeling sometimes when you wake up of where you've been, I can't
Right.
remember where I've been, but I can remember a feeling, and that if I just took more time to stay in that feeling, then my brain maybe would be able to download the images, of where I've been. So I think we all have these two worlds.
Well, of
It's
course
our
we do. Of
nature,
course we do.
right?
It is.
And we don't even need, so much. We don't even need that much food to nourish our bodies. I think we tend to overdo everything. Too much food, too much excess of everything, too much wanting, too much supermarket shopping.
Hmm. There is an idea of excess, I think. There's this wonderful little meme that's been out. It's about eat one third, do something less, but laugh more.
Yeah.
I think the emphasis on that, and I'm sorry I'm misquoting it, is that it's about feeling. It's getting in touch with
Mhm.
feeling, it's getting in touch with being present. So much of what I think we do is because there is a certain level of unhappiness,
Yeah.
discontent, because people are trying to live up to the shoulds, have tos, and oughts, to find the agreement with other people, to therefore be accepted um,
Right.
for whatever it is, that we try to fill it in with other things. And I think there's this idea of really filling it in with food. We fill it in with so many things:
Shopping.
shopping, eating,
Right.
just a whole lot of excesses. And I think that's where, too, some people take the dive into what we would call the entheogens, the hallucinogens, those kinds of things, as an escape and to fill in.
Right.
And I think that's where some of the danger comes. And this is where I kind of steer the conversation a little bit, is that we talk about these plants in a way we've to this point in which we've kind of objectified them, like they are just things out there. It's
Hmm.
it's it's a mushroom, or it's the Banisteriopsis capi. It's this vine. It's this leaf. These are beings. They have intelligence. They have energy.
Mm.
And as one begins to work shamanically and perceive them in the non ordinary reality, we understand that not
Mm.
only does each plant have like a personal intelligence, although it's different than humans. Humans are very individual. Plants tend to be very communal in the way
Hmm.
they relate to one another. I mean, you hear the stories about the aspen tree. I think it's the aspen that has roots out, and it can cover miles, square miles, and be considered one organism because of the
Wow.
way it relates. But there are also spirits of nature that are connected. Now, some people call them the devas, the plant devas, who are responsible in part for helping what we consider to be photosynthesis and all of this to work. So there's like a spiritual component as well as an entity component to many plants. Point I'm getting to is when one works shamanically, one can see somehow that in people who are void, empty, looking to fill, often the plant spirits find a home with those people. So you will read about situations. William Baldwin, who worked with the ideas of possession and depossessing people, discovered that the coca plant, often because of cocaine, was possessing people, which
Wow.
may be the root of addiction in some cases. I have seen
Ooh.
people who've come back from the ayahuasca tourism trips and have come to ask for help to be depossessed from the vine because they felt that the spirit of the vine had stayed with them.
Right.
And it isn't like eating a broccoli that kind of shares its nutrients with you and its life certainly and then passes through. There's a component in some of these that sticks and stays and begins to influence. So there's this other whole side when we look at plants in a shamanic point of view, where we begin to recognize the intelligence, the energy,
Hmm.
and some, I would call it the volition of plants to seek out ways to find different expression, and they using the humans. And frankly, if you look at any plant, we are virtually um, their hosts. They use us.
Mm.
We eat them, and as we excrete the seeds, we plant the seeds. I mean, this has been going
Hmm.
on. The birds eat.
Oh.
So
Hmm.
the plants use us at some level to procreate, to
To
continue.
procreate.
And I mean, there's some interesting discussions just about maize, corn, being
Wow.
very powerful because it uses the human. So it that kind of flips it, us on our heads when we begin to think about plants. Because we think we're using them, we think we have so much control. Just let your sidewalk go
That is
all summer
so,
without
yeah.
trimming it. You will see grass coming up through it,
Or a house.
and if
A
you don't
house. It's the
tend it,
most amazing thing. Yeah.
the plants are so strong. They
Yeah.
can break up concrete. Their roots are
Yes.
trees. So
Absolutely.
the ability of the plant kingdom is extremely strong. It endures, and it's I think it's incredible as we continue to think about plants in a different way.
in a different way. I was thinking of those, photographs of temples in Asia that have been consumed by wines and plants. You can't even see that. That's what happens back to us, to a
Absolutely.
human being. When we die, we have to become part of the nature. But I was also thinking of things that we do daily, that are huge drugs, like coffee.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coffee is, I think, the number one drug
Mm-hmm.
that is available to all, and companies are so huge, they're incentivizing everybody to have more and more coffee, but the
Right.
coffee actually is so toxic for the liver.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we doing to our bodies? That is the big question. Why do we think we need something, like we need a coffee to wake up in the morning? you know we need
Again,
a
it's probably our shoulds, have tos, and oughts.
right.
You know, the idea when I think about some of the people on that what do they call that? The treadmill of work. You know, some industries. I think of the people in legal industries. Those poor people who come out of law school, they get the jobs at the big firms. They are expected to be there before any of the bosses are, which means they have to be there 6:30, 7 in the morning to begin their work. They have to be there all day. The boss leaves at 8. They need to not go home till 10. Where is the rest? Where is
Yeah,
the balance in that? And because of these shoulds, have tos, and oughts about getting accepted, getting ahead in the world, having money, buying things, filling my life,
yeah,
you know,
it's the whole
because
hamster wheel.
exactly, the only way I can do that is to have help. And the help can come to me
Right,
in the form of this alkaloid coffee or
right. I
chocolate.
did, I did the 20 years of my life in that hamster wheel, being a jewelry designer in Beverly Hills and having a store and having to go work all day and then go out at night to promote your work, and then it starts again. And of course, what happened to me? I got sick
Right, right,
because the society tells you will be, if you achieve something like fame, like you become a really famous jewelry designer, um that there's a completion, but they never tell you the warning signs, of being sick.
right,
Because when you are sick, you have to stop everything. All the money that you achieved, and gathered has to be used for getting back into health. So
right.
everything, that was such a big lesson. It makes no sense. It just
Exactly.
makes no sense.
We,
And and we do it just because somebody tells us that's the way you do it. You
right,
work hard and you achieve something, but then in the middle of it you die because you worked so hard, you got so sick, boom, you're gone.
right.
So
You've been knocked off your balance. You
yeah,
haven't balanced.
right.
You haven't balanced.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I guess we all live through experience, but for now, in my own life, I know that the only thing that matters for me is my connection to source. And that if I end up alone in an island, nobody wants to talk to me, nobody likes me anymore, but that I achieved that beautiful connection where I know that myself, I have found that joy. I have I have bathed in it, I have lived it, then that's it, you know. That's as much as I'm concerned with.
hmm
And I think that is such an inspiring thing to say, because just, just to know that I have to train myself to fight that beast. My beast is here. Um, and not believe everything that I'm being told, not just find my own truth inside, just, through meditation, through walking, through singing, through drumming, and helping others has
Mm,
been such a beautiful,
right.
oh my God, the minute you realize that we are all, that we are all one, and that your purpose is to be connected and to be helpful to another human being, everything changes. You're no longer needing to be the best at what you do or to be famous. You are part of the all, so it's a dance.
And the beautiful thing of it is, you can only be the best you. Nobody can ever be you.
Yeah,
Nobody can ever be you or me. Nobody can be who we are.
yeah,
We were born as individuals to be
yes.
the best what we are. It's kind of a picture I get in my head when I think about Source. I think about Source exploring itself through all beings. And Source, why would Source want to explore itself through two identical beings when one being can get that piece and another being can get another piece? So we're individuals related to Source, but all part of Source experiencing itself. And I can only fulfill that purpose as Source myself if I am myself, not
Right,
somebody else or something else. So I can't go be an oak tree. That oak tree, that one oak tree out there is going to do what it does as that one oak tree. Now,
right.
there are other oak trees around there, but none of them have just the same exactness. Close, close, a breath away, but it's itself. It's doing its thing.
Yeah,
I can only do my thing. Even when you think about twins, okay, they're close, just barely a breath away in some cases, but they are individuals.
yeah,
Being source as source, experiencing itself.
yeah.
So,
And experiencing plants, and every gift that nature gives us in the right way, in the correct way, is beautiful because we have all these fruits and amazing things to eat here and amazing things to smell. I mean, you go and smell a rose or you go and smell a flower. I always wonder when I smell a flower, because I love flowers, where is that smell coming from? I'm always puzzled. I love to think about it. Like, okay, I get it. The roses here, I can smell it. Where's that smell coming from? My brain can't figure it out. So it's all for the heart. It's
that's it.
all a gift,
And I think that's the other piece that plants teach us. Because as you begin to look at flowers, you begin to look at the rose, you begin to see incredible patterns in the way they form. Not to reduce them to mathematics, but you've got the Fibonacci sequence, you've got the golden rectangle, you've got these relationships in the way the plants grow, the way the seeds of a pine cone. This is another gift from nature. This is another gift from the plant kingdom. It's a very observable, up close and personal way that we begin to see the intelligence that is at play in our universe.
Mm.
Nothing's happening randomly on
Wow.
these things. They are there. There's an exactitude in the pine cone. There's an exactitude
Mm.
in the swirl of the seeds of the sunflower from the
Yes,
core of the blossom. Uh, which that's I think that's where some of the initial understanding about the intelligence embodied in our universe. And once we begin to accept that there is intelligence in plants, that it's their
absolutely.
native intelligence, and we begin to see the relationship. Okay, so they've got their Fibonacci sequence going on and how they form, and then we look at our bodies and the ratios between our upper arm and our full arm, the head and our waist. We see our mathematical perfection in the typical human body. We understand the relationship we have. We look at the amphibians. We see those relationships as well. There's intelligence at work. There was something
Right.
absolutely beyond comprehension, for me anyway, that went into the creation of this whole world in which we live. And it
It is
reminds me,
amazing.
yeah, that nature is such a great teacher. Even, at just even the scientific level, nature is a great
Yeah.
teacher. But then we can take those lessons of science. They become metaphor for us, and we can grow in consciousness from them. And
Yes.
the gift we have, even, it's been out on the internet for quite some time, this idea of tree bathing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just going in after being on the hamster wheel, standing in a forest, tree bathing, just letting all
Wow.
the shoulds, have tos, and oughts go into the earth to be
Mm.
decomposed like the soil beneath our feet, and breathing the air, because the trees, as they breathe in their carbon dioxide, they are expiring their oxygen, so we become super oxygenated as we have this symbiotic relationship with them. Suddenly I breathe their air, they're breathing my air. When you share somebody's
Wow.
air, think about sharing your air. I mean, I do that with my cat sometime if I'm snuggling him, and I can feel his breath, and it always it just takes my mind to another place when I think we're sharing air. We're
Ah,
sharing air. What nourishes his body goes in and comes out. I'm what I'm breathing comes out, and we're breathing each other's air. Isn't that amazing? I mean,
that is amazing. Yeah, I
so
think I heard that uh, throughout, the water of this planet, we have probably drunk the same water and received the same oxygen in our bodies. So yes, there's so much magic, so much mystery. There's so much beauty, so much to learn. For me, the learning really accelerates when I am doing a shamanic journey.
hmm
I've I s- That's why I always tell people they should just learn to do shamanic journey. They don't have to, become practitioners of shamanism and do healings, but just to know what else can your body do,
hmm
to go outside the limits of your normal limits of your body
right.
and learn that you are capable of doing this. Everybody's capable, probably with a little bit of intention.
hmm
So it opens your whole world, that you don't have to be contrived, you say, in this box. You can ask the sun to give you a healing. You can ask, a plant, a tree to. There's a tree here outside my window that looked very sad
hmm
the other day to me. When it's an enormous tree, it's beautiful. It's like four of them, and I think they're called Kashmiri something, but they're beautiful ancient trees. And he didn't look so good to me the other day when I was looking at him. So I went to him and I placed my hands on him. I just went inside and we had a little conversation. And I asked him, how he was doing. And he said, well, I'm getting old.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
getting old. But I'm okay. He was saying, I'm okay. And we just had this, energy exchange. Like he was giving me his beauty. I was sending him more life force because I want that tree to be there. He's so beautiful.
Right.
So I mean, maybe I look crazy to somebody passing by with my two hands on the tree, but my experience was real.
Absolutely.
And in my heart, it was happening. We were having the exchange. I was sending the tree more of my own life force connected to my own helping spirits, giving me more life force so I could pass it on to him. And he was, expressing his ancient knowledge and healing towards me, and it was beautiful.
Hmm.
So I think we can live like this. We really can. It enriches our lives. It nourishes my life. And one thing I was going to say, that my one of the books or the teachers that I greatly love was when I started reading the books of Edgar Tolle, because he taught me about silence,
Oh,
the
absolutely.
moment. And I realized that when I practice that, I annoy people around me because they want to talk, and they want to talk to me, and they want to me to listen, and I just want to be in silence. So
Hmm.
there's like this kind of not very happy medium, but I love to be in silence. I just
Yes.
love to just listen to that nothingness where there's even cooking, or doing anything in silence. It's so beautiful.
It is. I think we fill a lot of space with noise. It's not it's not even information. It's just noise. Um, and I think what's interesting. I want to go back to you and your tree. We read that, okay, they have knowledge, they have wisdom. These plant beings. What I don't think we understand is that when we get a download from them, it's not a lot of data. It's not like chemical formulas. It's not the same kind of information. The information we get from them is at a different level. It's a feeling level, very much a
Mm,
feeling and intuitive level. It's not an intellectual kind of knowledge. And I think it's important to make that distinction, because that, I think, is where we get to your idea of silence. Because when we're talking about information, it is talking. That's how humans exchange information, typically. And we don't respect the feeling and intuition as information. It doesn't seem to carry the same
right.
cachet. And so that's why I think a lot of people have shut that down. For example, as a little kid, you walk in and your uncle pulls your ponytail and you say, "Mommy, I don't like Uncle so and so." And it's like, don't say that. He loves you. But your feeling of him is that he doesn't really like you. He's kind of annoying you, but you've been taught to shut that down because that's like
Right.
inappropriate. That's a should have to or ought again. And so over the course of our years, we shut down that silence where there's so much richness of feeling and intuition.
Right.
And I think that's part of a gift that comes back with engagement with the plant kingdom. There's some beautiful books. I can't remember her name, Sylvana. Again, we can stick that in notes below this. She talks about understanding plants by just being with them and sensing. I think sensing
Uh,
is so beautiful. For example, when you sit with a plant, an oak tree, and you just tune into your body, what does your body say? Like, where do you feel the oak in your body
mm,
as you're within
wow.
its orbit? Just like you, when you put your hands on your tree, what is the feeling you have in your body? But then it's like, what are your emotions telling you? You were getting messages that everything was okay, that you could feel that. You knew that. And it
Hmm.
wasn't like the tree was telling you, maybe he told you in words, maybe you were able to perceive in words, but it didn't have to be language
No,
as
it's
that.
more even a feeling.
It is a
Yeah.
different language. And I think that's another gift of the plants is we learn a
Yeah.
different language that's not
Yes.
words and verbal. It's
Absolutely.
feeling
I
and
so
intuitive.
agree with you. Yes, and I think for me, I'm such a I've always liked to be by myself all my life, and I I always like to be in nature by myself,
Hmm.
because like walking on a beach with somebody that keeps on talking to you removes the experience that I was wanting to have,
Right.
of just being there waves and the sounds and the seagulls and the where I get kind of, I could say hi, and I'm there, and then I really feel like, wow, it was beautiful sunset. But it's really difficult because I think human beings, we were taught at some point when we were children that we have to share,
Hmm.
that we have to, we're sharing, we're participating, we're like in a circle, we're sharing with family, we're sharing with friends, we have to share, we can't just be there and just be. And so I'm having issues with that because I'm learning about it. I do like human beings. I am not a total loner, but I'm just so involved with what's going on inside
Hmm.
that somebody who read my book gave me a really beautiful compliment. She said to me, "Now I understand why you're never alone. I never understood why you like to be alone so much, but now after reading your book, I understand because you have all these spirits and all these incredible, friends, incredible things, adventures." And she said, "Now I understand." And I thought
Hmm.
it was beautiful because one can have an amazing life in connection to nature, in connection to the stars, and in connection to our silence and to our connection with source. And the
Absolutely.
rest of being with human beings is extra, and it's fun too. I'm not saying it's not fun, but it's something particularly that I'm learning through at
Hmm.
this point of my life, because I'm releasing a lot of old ideas that I had on how to be a human being. And I think the more I go through life and I get a little bit older, I'm releasing a lot of old stuff that I don't need anymore, and I'm becoming lighter
Hmm.
within myself, which is all I care.
Well, and as that happens, the similar beings will probably come into your sphere so that you can enjoy what I would call the companionable silence. And I'm reminded of a quote: "If you can't understand my silence, how can I expect you to understand my words?"
Yeah,
Which I
that's
think
powerful.
is is very beautiful. Um, so
Yes.
companionable silence, being able to share space without having to fill it, I think is an interesting skill to develop.
It is. It's not for everybody. I think, yeah, I don't recommend it to everybody. I think we all need to do our own journeys as
Absolutely.
much as we are individuals. We're all doing our own experiment. It's a very unique experiment to be alive for each one of us. And I don't want to tell anybody how to live their
No,
lives, but I certainly want to discover how it is best for me to live my life.
absolutely.
And that's the discovery I'm really enjoying. And when you look at plants, and you were talking about the intelligence of plants, if you look at plants through microscope or microphotography, and you start seeing that a leaf not only is so perfect but has little tiny hairs everywhere and has so much to look at. Even micro photography is a real passion for me because I think it's so beautiful to look what a fly looks like
Oh, absolutely.
under,
The eye of a
you know
fly in microscopy is amazing.
it's
Absolutely
just
amazing.
how, I mean, I just want to finish this beautiful conversation with, we all need to be inspire each other to take care of Mother Nature,
Hmm.
because she is such a beautiful being. Even we were saying to look at a fly through micro photography, to realize that everything is so beautiful. Please, can we all learn to take care of Mother Earth, because we're such good destroyers.
Hmm. And it would be a sign of gratitude because without Mother Earth and all the beings on it, we would not be.
Right.
So I think we should call it a wrap for the day. Thank you
Yes,
so
I
much for
think
this
so. We went too
conversation.
long. We were supposed to
We
be
always
20
do.
minutes.
We always do.
So
Lots to
sorry.
say. That's okay. So
But
until
thank
next
you.
time,
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
thank you.